Here's a question which has baffled everyone. Why did the Boeing 787 Dreamliner's safety systems fail? The answers lie in terabytes of digital clues now.
Recorded on two small but tough black boxes, this data extraction has now been successfully completed. Here's a report on what air crash investigators have to look through.
Air India Flight 171 crashed shortly after takeoff, leaving behind heartbreak, shock, and a cloud of unanswered questions. What do the black boxes really reveal? If they've been recovered, why is the data still not out? Are investigators hiding something, or is the damage too severe to decode quickly? And if the black boxes hold the truth, why is it taking so long to share it with the public? Air India Flight 171 took off from Ahmedabad's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport on June 12, 2025, heading for London Gatwick. Just seconds later, the plane plunged from the sky and smashed into a hostel building in the Meghani Nagar area of the city. The crash left behind a horrifying scene. Burning wreckage, twisted metal, and lives lost both on board and on the ground. One passenger somehow survived, but nearly everyone else, including dozens of students and residents in the hostel, didn't make it. In the days that followed, the question on everyone's mind was simple. What happened in those final 36 seconds? The answer lies inside two small but powerful devices. Black boxes that hold the plane's most vital clues. But even weeks later, the data hidden within them remains mostly locked away, and the longer the delay stretches, the more people are starting to feel uneasy. Despite the name, black boxes are bright orange. That's so they can be spotted quickly in wreckage like this. On a Boeing 787, they're actually called Enhanced Airborne Flight Recorders, EAFRs, and they do more than just store sound or numbers. Each unit records both cockpit conversations and flight data. The Cockpit Voice Recorder captures every sound: pilot discussions, background noise, engine roars, warnings, even the press of a button. The Flight Data Recorder, FDR, stores hundreds of pieces of technical information about the aircraft's behavior, such as altitude, speed, engine settings, flap positions, and more. The Dreamliner is built with two of these EAFRs, one near the front and a second one in the tail section, to make sure that if one is destroyed, the other may still survive. After the crash, investigators found the first black box on June 13th, sitting on a rooftop, and the second on June 16th, buried in wreckage. Both were moved to Delhi's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau lab on June 24th. Work to extract their contents began immediately, and the front recorder's memory was accessed the next day. But since then, full results have yet to be released, and the silence is starting to feel louder than any official statement. The black boxes are built to endure almost anything. They can take on extreme impact forces, burning heat, and even sit underwater for days without giving up their data. For a crash this severe, retrieving both recorders felt like a breakthrough. But what looked promising on the surface quickly turned into a technical struggle. Both units were damaged, one more seriously than the other, and with the aircraft slamming into the ground at just over 600 feet altitude and erupting into flames, the destruction was brutal. The Dreamliner, registered as WT-A and B and powered by two General Electric GE NX-1B67 engines, broke apart instantly. Wreckage scattered across the hostel site, complicating recovery efforts and exposing the black boxes to heat and pressure beyond even their high limits. Inside their protective casing, the recorder's memory chips may have stayed intact, but only experts would know for sure, and they would need time, precision, and a bit of luck to find out. When a black box is intact, downloading its data is relatively straightforward. But if it's damaged, everything changes. These recorders are tightly sealed, shielding their internal circuits from the outside world. To open one, experts have to carefully cut through the shell without harming the memory inside. It's not a job for ordinary tools, it's a controlled and careful operation that can't be rushed. In Flight 171's case, the recovery team may have had to slice through melted parts of the aircraft just to remove the recorders. They were flown to Delhi under high security, transported by the Indian Air Force and watched over by police and CCTV during the entire journey. But even safe in a lab, the risk of damaging data remains high. Just opening the unit can go wrong if handled carelessly. Every part of this process is slow, methodical, and filled with pressure. And that's only one part of the delay. The investigation doesn't just involve India's AAIB. Experts from Boeing, General Electric, the US National Transportation Safety Board, and the UK's Air Accidents Investigation Branch are all part of the analysis. Each group brings a different skill set to the table. Some know the aircraft's internal systems, others specialize in crash data, and all of them have to work together. But with multiple agencies involved, each with its own protocols, approvals, and legal responsibilities, progress is often slower than expected. All teams must agree on how the black boxes are handled, who sees what, and how to interpret the results. And since the crash has drawn global attention and left 260 people dead, no one wants to release findings that haven't fully been verified. Everyone involved knows that a single error in reading or explaining the data could cause more pain for families already devastated by loss. Another part of this tragic puzzle that's raising concern is the nature of the information stored in the black boxes themselves. The Cockpit Voice Recorder in Flight 171's Boeing 787 likely stored only 2 hours of cockpit audio because this aircraft was delivered in 2014, before the 2021 rule that made 25-hour recording mandatory for newer planes. Fortunately, since the flight only lasted under a minute, the CVR still managed to record the entire event. It captured everything, including the urgent mayday call from the cockpit reporting no thrust and losing power. The flight data recorder collected a much larger batch of information. By international rules, it had to track at least 88 different flight parameters. But on an advanced aircraft like the 787, that number can go as high as 2,000. This includes details such as engine thrust, flap movement, hydraulic pressure, fuel usage, and much more. However, because the flight was so short, all of these readings happened in an extremely tight window, flooding the memory with information all at once. This has made it harder to figure out what happened first and what happened next. Sorting through that level of data is incredibly complex, especially when everything happens in seconds. What's slowing down the investigation even more is that this wasn't a crash with a slow buildup. In most aviation cases, problems stretch out over several minutes. This gives investigators time to map out each step clearly. What failed, what was done to respond, and how the situation evolved. But here, everything changed almost instantly. The aircraft climbed briefly, just about 14 seconds, then stopped gaining height and began dropping. It tilted side to side, the nose angled sharply upward, and then it crashed. This fast-moving series of failures likely triggered many warnings and errors inside the cockpit. The CVR probably caught non-stop alarms, crew instructions, and background sounds in a short burst of chaos. The FDR2 would have been overwhelmed by the number of alerts and sudden shifts in controls. Trying to analyze that compressed data is like working through hundreds of emergencies all packed into half a minute. At the beginning of the investigation, there was also uncertainty about where the black boxes would be examined. Some early discussions hinted that the damaged recorders might be flown to the United States, where facilities are equipped to handle heavily damaged units. But on June 24th, it was confirmed that both EAFRs would remain in India. They were taken to the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau's Black Box Lab in Delhi. This lab was recently completed in April 2025 with a budget of 9 crore Indian rupees. It was built to match international standards and is meant to repair damaged black boxes and recover sensitive data. The team is working on the case managed to access the memory module of the front recorder by June 25th. Still, no report has been released. One area that continues to cause speculation is what actually led to the crash. There are several leading possibilities, and none of them are simple. A complete electrical failure, a total hydraulic failure, both engines losing power at once, or a combination of these all remain under examination. Something called the Ram Air Turbine, RAT, was seen deployed. The small wind-powered device only pops out when a major electrical or hydraulic issue occurs. Its presence points toward serious system failures. Witnesses saw the RAT, and the lone survivor described hearing a loud bang and noticing a green light. Both signs that backup systems were kicking in. If this was truly a dual-engine failure, it would be one of the rarest in commercial aviation, with odds estimated at 2.5 billion to 1. These engines, like the General Electric GEnx 1B67 models, are known for being dependable. The right one had been overhauled in March 2025, and the left had a maintenance inspection in April. But investigators are also checking if there was fuel contamination or if a critical computer system called FADEC, Full Authority Digital Engine Control, malfunctioned. So far, there is no confirmed sign of sabotage or bird strikes. To confirm or rule out these theories, the black boxes are vital. The CVR will tell exactly what the pilot said, what sounds fill the cockpit, and whether the mayday was called at the moment of total failure or earlier. The FDR can show if the engines were doing their job, whether the flaps were in the right position, and if the landing gear was out. Some reports say it might have been. Each black box also has a built-in emergency battery called RIPS, short for Recorder Internal Power Source. It can keep recording for up to 10 minutes even if the aircraft's entire electrical system fails. Since Flight 171 didn't even last 1 minute, this emergency battery ensured that everything from start to crash was saved. The official process is not just about reading the black boxes. There are international standards that investigators must follow. According to ICAO rules, a first report must be submitted within 30 days of the crash, which means by July 12, 2025. The final full report, however, can take as long as 12 months. On June 13th, a full investigation team was formed. This included experts in medical analysis, air traffic control, flight operations, and technical systems. Their job is to connect the black box data with radar information and physical wreckage. For instance, looking at the condition of engine turbine blades can tell if they were spinning when the plane hit the ground. If they weren't moving, it could mean the engines had shut down. Debris is also being tested to see if anything unusual was in the fuel. This part is especially important, as a similar issue in 2020 caused an Airbus A321 to suffer engine problems right after takeoff from Gatwick. That plane landed safely. Flight 171 had no such chance. The demand for answers keeps growing, but experts know they can't rush this. If they announce the cause too early and have to correct it later, it would only make things worse. That's why the AAIB is taking a careful approach. They know the entire investigation is being watched not just in India but around the world. All 33 of Air India's Boeing 787s were ordered to go through extra safety checks. By June 21st, 26 had cleared inspections. DGCA is also keeping a closer watch on how Air India handles maintenance and flight planning, pointing out a pattern of repeated technical problems and rule violations. The crash site was overwhelming from the very start. With debris scattered across a dense residential area, emergency teams had to move quickly. Around 300 firefighters were sent in, supported by 60 fire vehicles and 20 ambulances. As they searched through the wreckage, investigators found something besides the black boxes: a separate digital video recorder that stored footage from the plane's cabin and exterior cameras. This device might help provide a visual timeline, but its analysis is not the main focus right now. The black boxes, the CVR and FDR, remain the top priority. Meanwhile, identifying victims has been painfully slow. By June 16, DNA testing confirmed the identities of 90 victims and 47 bodies had been returned to families. Public emotions have been running high. When footage of the crash began to circulate, protests broke out. The fact that one of the passengers was former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has also kept national attention focused on the disaster. The Boeing 787 has been viewed as one of the safest planes ever built, with no deadly crashes in its 14-year record until now. The 787 is designed with systems that let it keep flying even if one engine fails or if the hydraulic systems go down. That's why the sudden and complete loss of control seen in Flight 171 is so unusual. Some are now looking at the flight management control systems, wondering if it malfunctioned during takeoff. Others are pointing fingers at Air India's maintenance operations, which were already under scrutiny for violations. What are your views on this? Do let us know in the comment section below, and for more such amazing videos, do subscribe to our channel.